What's up, everybody? Demon back, and welcome to the 5th Godzilla Q and A. About that last title, don't worry about it. It was clickbait. I'm not quitting YouTube, so let's get into the Q and A. So our first question comes from Ultraman Nexus, and he asks, "Hey D-Man, what's your favorite Heisei Godzilla movie?" So my favorite Heisei Godzilla movie is Godzilla vs. Destroya. A lot of people love that movie because it's really, really good. It brings the whole series together. It brings the whole Heisei series together so well. Connects it back to the 54 movie amazingly. It's the perfect send-off for Godzilla. I absolutely love it. I mean, the music is awesome. Godzilla's awesome in that movie. The red atomic breath, and just the design in general. Godzilla's death is really emotional, and then Junior kicks some butt in the movie. It's a really great movie. It's one of my favorite Godzilla movies in general. It's my favorite of the Heisei series, and it beats out most of the others. And our next set of questions comes from B.A. Reclaimer, and he asks, "I got a few questions for you. Number one, what is your favorite canceled Godzilla movie?" So I'm going to start with this. So my favorite canceled Godzilla movie is Godzilla vs. the Gargantuas. Originally, Toho was supposedly going to do this movie, and then it got scrapped when, in the 70s, Toho, basically went bankrupt nearly, and so they couldn't do a lot of the films that they wanted to do, including this one, supposedly. The next question he asks is, do I prefer English subs or dubs when watching kaiju movies? I prefer English sub, and to just listen to the Japanese. That's the original way the movie was presented, with Japanese words. You get better acting that way, I think. You also get a more genuine experience because you're seeing the uncut version just with subtitles. Next question is, what kaiju do you think needs their own solo movie? So what Godzilla Kaiju needs their own solo movie? Now this is something I've given a lot of thought ever since I did my last video talking about what I would do with the legendary cinematic Godzilla universe. In that, I said I didn't think King Ghidorah could hold his own film. I don't think Legendary's King Ghidorah can hold his own film. I think with Legendary taking a more realistic approach to things, they can't do it. They can't do it the way that they should. But I gave it a lot of thought, and really, I think you could do something amazing with the King Ghidorah movie, with not just Ghidorah himself, but with the whole family. So you have Kaiser Ghidorah, King Ghidorah, Days Ghidorah. You have all of the different ones. If you had all of them in outer space, going planet to planet, destroying things, and then you have these different planets trying to figure out, oh, we gotta stop this somehow, and then they make it to Earth, and then Earth has to fight them off. I think that would be an absolutely amazing film. And, maybe Godzilla could cameo in the end and fight them all and win. Who knows? But I just think that would be an awesome movie if you had a Ghidorah family-central movie with the whole species, all the different species of these Ghidorahs, because there's a lot of them, and I think you could do a lot with it. The final question he asks is, what is your favorite Godzilla comic? So my favorite Godzilla comic is Godzilla Rulers of Earth. It's one of my favorite Godzilla things in general, period. I absolutely love it. I bought all the issues when it was coming out back a few years ago. It started with Kingdom of Monsters, which I got the 3 volumes for when they all came out, and I wasn't really thrilled with Kingdom of Monsters. It's kind of a letdown, honestly, but it is the perfect setup for the amazing series that is Godzilla Rulers of Earth. It is just so good. They bring back so many obscure Toho kaiju, like they have the Gargantua show up and fight Godzilla, they have Baragon show back up with his heat beam. They have so much that goes on in these comics. It's amazing. I absolutely love it, 100%. And, the writing is great. Matt Frank's art he's the best Godzilla artist in my opinion, and to see the art he does in this comic, it's just so good. Now, in terms of other things like the story is really good too. I mean, I was genuinely sad when it ended, and there's some character deaths in there that you get emotional over. I got invested in it, and I loved it. We now have a question from Jahir Sheikh. I think that's how I was supposed to pronounce your name. And he says, I've seen people asking your favorite Godzilla design or movie, but I'm curious, what is your favorite Godzilla roar? My favorite Godzilla roar is a tricky question, because the Showa roar is so classic. The Showa roar used in Shin Godzilla also. It is so classic, you can't go wrong with it. But there's other roars that I really do prefer. The 54 roar is really menacing. The 84 roar is awesome because it's a very menacing version of the Showa roar. But I honestly think the Heisei is just the standard Heisei roar. That is pretty much your standard Godzilla roar. I think that's got to be the most classic and the most well-known, and that's probably my favorite. You know, you have the Millennium roars as well, but those ones are a bit tweaked, and I don't quite like the way they tweak them. Then you also have Zilla's roar, he had a similar to the Showa roar, but it was a higher pitched squeal version. I don't like that one as much. It just kind of annoys me when you hear it too much. But honestly, my favorite roar would probably just be the standard Heisei. And for the most part, when people ask me favorite design and all this stuff, it's always going to pretty much come down to Heisei, because that is just the standard and classic version of Godzilla. You can't go wrong with it. So now we have a question that is from Barrels101, who asks, if you had to design the Godzilla poster for Legendary's Godzilla 2, what would it look like? I really like some of the fan art that's out there. This one in particular, I think, is amazing. This one of Godzilla and King Ghidorah, just slap Godzilla 2 on there, Godzilla King of Monsters, boom. That sells tickets, and it's awesome. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe go with something more artsy like what they did with Skull Island, but I mean, I want to show off the monsters in the poster. That's what I want. Now we have a question from Sheen or Sean Devenshif. I'm bad with names. He asks, or it could be she, but it's probably he. He asks, hey D-Man 1954, if you put all the Godzillas in a fight against each other, which Godzilla would win? So I get a lot of questions like this. A lot of you guys really do care about these Kaiju versus stuff. So the Kaiju versus is its own thing, but then typically when I have group fights like this, I like to put them in the Q and A's. So all the Godzillas versus each other, who wins? Really, I think it will be a toss-up, because the bigger ones are going to wipe out the smaller ones. That's a fact. 54, 55, pretty much the Showa series doesn't stand a ton of a chance. You do have some cool powers that they could have, like, you know, you have Godzilla who can fly, and you have that tail drop kick, but I don't think that the Showa Godzillas would necessarily stand up very well against these massive Godzillas. You know, when you have an extra 200 feet on someone, you're going to win, right? So, really, I think it would come down to the Heisei Godzilla, not really the Millenniums, other than Godzilla Final Wars, 2014, and Shin Godzilla, who would, you know, if we're taking into consideration the evolutions, he'd probably be killed in his first 2 evolutions before he could turn into, you know, Shin Godzilla, or his first 3 evolutions, rather. But if you're just putting Shin Godzilla as Godzilla there, then I think he would stand a bit better of a chance. I still think he would lose. I think 2014 can obviously beat Shin Godzilla. When Shin Godzilla has the super powerful atomic breath, he will go into shutdown eventually. Godzilla 2014 is going to wind up killing him when he's in shutdown. Godzilla 2014, though, the question is, would he be able to beat Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Destroya? The question is really, how much resistance does Godzilla 2014 have? And he is very resistant. He might win. And here's the thing, is with Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Destroya, he's in meltdown. He's going to die eventually. So me and Wolf of Dimensions back in the day, we did a whole versus video on just these two fighting each other alone. Which one of these two is going to kill the other one? We came down to, it would be a draw, and then Godzilla vs. Destroya, he would just melt down and die. Now, the thing is, Godzilla Final Wars is in this fight as well, and he is going to annihilate everyone, because that is the strongest, the most agile Godzilla we've ever seen to date. He can do things that none of the other Godzillas can, like kick off a mountain and drop kick. He does a lot of stuff that's really insane. Flies through the air. You know, he's got the super powerful atomic breath too. Here's the thing with him, is his blue atomic breath is so powerful. I'm pretty sure in the movie it kills. When they show it, I think it kills almost every kaiju he hits with it, other than Kaiser Ghidorah. I think he one-shots everyone with it, and then he gets the red atomic breath at the very end of the fight and is able to wipe out Kaiser Ghidorah. So I think he would be able to win the fight against all Godzillas. he's also really, really big too. You have to keep in mind, I believe he's about as tall as Godzilla 2014. So I think when it comes down to it, that much of a size difference wouldn't quite matter. Godzilla 2004 is going to win. And going to be wrapping up here pretty soon. So the second to last question we're going to talk about is from Hitcham Melvta. Guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, I don't do names. He asks, D-Man1954, what is your favorite King Ghidorah design? Showa series. I think the Showa series looked coolest. He had hair. That's different than any of the other King Ghidorahs don't have hair. I really don't like the version that we see in GMK. I can't stand that design. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's really cool, look at the face, it looks like Varan. I don't care. It's just it doesn't scream King Ghidorah to me. It's too small, and it's just weird to me. I don't like that design really at all. The Heisei design is really cool, but I like the Showa one, and I think the Showa's roar is better and everything like that. I think all around the Showa King Ghidorah is cooler. He has the more chirpier roar, he has the, you know, he just looks more scarier, I guess. He has the hair. I like it a lot more. I don't know why. I can't quite say, but I like the Showa version a lot more. And the final question today is from TV Host, who asks, what do you think the scariest Godzilla movie monster apart from the Big G himself? So who do I think is the scariest Godzilla monster other than Godzilla? I don't necessarily think any Godzilla monsters are scary. I don't think Godzilla's scary, and I've really never found any thing, like, I'm one of those people who doesn't really get scared at movies. There are movies that freaked me out as a kid, and so if we're going with kaiju in the Godzilla universe, not necessarily a Godzilla movie, but in the Godzilla universe that scared me as a kid, Ghidorah would have to be that from War of the Gargantuas. The Green Gargantua terrified me as a little kid. That thing, I always thought I was going to get eaten by him, and it just would freak me out. So he would probably be the scariest one. If we're talking strictly in Godzilla movies, I wouldn't even know where to begin, because I really never got scared by any monsters in a Godzilla movie. And like I said, I don't really get scared at movies. I don't watch a horror movie to be scared. I watch a horror movie to be entertained by the brutal kills. I mean, and Friday the 13th is coming up this Friday, and I'll be doing a review for the original movie then, and you guys will hear then. I don't get scared by this kind of stuff. I just take it as, you know, it's a movie, so whatever. But as a little kid, you have a different mindset, and so Ghidorah would terrify me so much that I would never want to watch War of the Gargantuas because of it. But at the same time, it's such an awesome movie, I couldn't resist watching it. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. That's all the questions we're going to do for today. Make sure you leave your questions down below. Put Q and A first, followed by your question, so it's easier for me to find. Also, make sure if you didn't get a question answered from before that you asked, make sure not to comment it again, because that probably means that I have lots of questions here. I've got like dozens and dozens of questions here, so I've probably already seen it and taken it into consideration, so there's no need to comment again. So please be cool about it. Don't just spam your comment, and don't get angry. If you weren't in this one, you might be in the next. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. D-Man, out.